Good morning and welcome to our virtual field trip. My name is Sue Nod. I'm an education specialist with Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom, and we are partnering with Midwest Dairy to visit farms across Minnesota that have a connection to their schools providing local food. So we have had a ton of fun. This is our fifth virtual field trip during October, which is National Farm to School Month. So before we visit the Ahlgren Dairy Farm, which is the site of our virtual field trip today, I want to give you a couple pointers that are going to be helpful. So first of all, if you have questions that you want to ask our farmers today, if you're viewing on YouTube, please use the comment section. If you are viewing on Zoom, please use the Q&A section and we will ask those to our farmers. And as I mentioned, if you are joining us this morning, please use those features also to let us know. So far, we have people from St. Francis, from St. Cloud, Belle Plaine. Welcome to all of you. We also have closed captions for our virtual field trip today. In YouTube, you should see them, those words just going across the bottom of your screen. In Zoom, you can show subtitles. I'm also going to put in the chat right now a link that you can also see those captions at if that's easier for you to follow. So like I mentioned, I'm Sue Nod. I work with Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom, and we have been connecting with farmers in Minnesota that provide food to our schools for a healthy and nutritious options for kids in schools and other food service programs. We also have been partnering with a Midwest Dairy. So today we have Alex Larson, who is part of the Midwest Dairy team, who is going to be our host and introduce us to the farm and farmers that we are visiting. So Alex, over to you.
Well, thank you, Sue. Hi, everyone. So I'm Alex. As Sue mentioned, I work on behalf of Midwest Dairy, and I get the honor of representing Minnesota's 2,700 dairy farm families. And today we are heading to central Minnesota, where we have the Ahlgren family, Sarah and Rick. If you like technology, then you are in for a treat because this farm has some super cool tech happening. And I'll be relaying your questions to Sarah and Rick as the moderators. So I know we're going to get a bunch of questions. We even got some questions already in advance for those that registered for the tour. We might not get to all of them, but we're going to do our best in this half-an-hour time. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce the Ahlgrens. Sarah, Rick, hello.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, guys. Can you just tell us about your family and introduce us to your farm?
Yes, welcome to our farm. We live on a dairy farm in central Minnesota, and we have 6 children. Our oldest is 12. He's going to be 13 in just a couple of weeks, all the way down to a 4-year-old. And they help along the farm, and they help us take care of our cows and help with our robots. And yeah, they love it.
Yeah, we really appreciate you guys joining us here today on our farm. We are several generations into this dairy farm, and we are considered a small family farm. It's basically just us with a few employees that take care of all the animals here. We milk about 160 cows right now, and then we also raise all of our replacement heifers, all the way from baby calves all the way up until they're milking right here in this facility. So this facility was recently built, and we did a lot of research and really designed this facility for the cows. This building is unique because there is a lot of robotics in this building and a lot of cow comfort also. One of the things that we're going to see in a little bit is one of the robots that cleans the barn. So this barn has a concrete floor, and there are 3 robots, kind of like a Roomba, if you know what that is, that goes around and it vacuums up all of the poop, or the manure as we call it, and then it dumps it into a special pit. So we'll get to see that in a little bit, but I think right now let's go inside and we'll kind of take a look at the cows.
Yeah, I think we definitely want to meet your cows. And one question that I've seen asked multiple times is, how do you know when a cow is happy and comfortable?
Well, one of the main things is if you just, as you'll probably see as we're standing in here, a lot of the cows are very friendly and curious. You'll see them just kind of hanging out next to us. If we stand here long enough, they'll come up and start licking on us. And if you see a cow run away from you, that means they're scared or they're not very comfortable. Another thing is that if a cow is laying down comfortably and chewing her cud, if her mouth is chewing on her food, that means she is really healthy and happy. So as you can see through the barn here, there'll be quite a few cows just laying down, enjoying the day. And they are actually laying on a water bed, believe it or not. There is basically a rubber mattress that they're laying on that is filled with water. So as you can see, when a cow moves on it, it'll be kind of moving around with her. That's water in the bed. So it basically is very comfortable for her because it spreads her weight out evenly as she lays down. So yeah, one of the main things, if a cow's laying down and chewing on her cud, that's a happy cow. So you'll see quite a few cows here just laying down and enjoying the day.
I think somebody had a question about our oldest cow. This is our oldest cow here, right here, 523, and she's a little over 10 years old. There she is.
Yep, still doing really good. Look at
Nice
her.
and happy.
Her ears are forward. That's another sign you could tell if a cow is happy. They're just kind of checking out what's going on here.
Yeah.
So
They're kind of like big puppies.
Sarah, you called her 529. Is that her name? Do you guys name your cows?
Okay, so she's actually 523, and that's my
Okay.
birthday. So I named her birthday.
All right, well, let's talk about that. You guys talked about robots, and let's talk a little bit about the milker.
Okay, so we could see, we'll kind of move these cows around a little bit, and we'll see from the outside of the robot. This is basically what the cow sees. A little while later, we'll go inside. But the cows are basically free choice to come to the milking robotic station when they want. There are 3 of these, and they enter from the back here. They enter from the back, and then you can see she's eating some food in a little food bowl right now. I'll just try to get her out of the way here. So she's fed a really tasty treat in there, and that's what kind of draws her into the robotic milking station. So you can see it kind of trickles down slowly, and it's all based on the individual cow. So everything's very tailored individually to these cows in here. Basically, the more the cow is producing, the more feed that she gets to support that milk that she's producing.
Each cow is also recognized by our robots. There's some cameras up above, and they track their collars. Each collar has like a Fitbit in it, so we can see how much they're eating, how much they're laying down. We can tell who is coming into the robot, and then it is programmed specifically to allow her to have just the right amount of feed for her body. And it's just a supplemental feed. Actually, most of the feed, if you look over here, is delivered by our Vector, which is our feeding robot. It's coming right around here. It drives itself, and it distributes feed around the perimeter of our entire barn. So our cows always have free choice to basically their cow salad, which is developed by a nutritionist and then delivered by that robot right there. And it drives around by itself.
Yeah, and that robot also regulates, or it has a laser on it, and it measures the amount of feed that is still available to the cows each time it goes around the barn. So it only mixes enough feed for the cows so it doesn't waste anything. It's very efficient, and the cows always have fresh feed available to them 24 hours a day.
That is so cool.
And you can see they love to come up and chow on that fresh feed when that thing comes around. Well, there's always a bunch of cows that come up, and they'll munch for a while, and then they'll go lay down or go get milked. They pretty much can kind of control their own schedule throughout the day.
So let's head into the inside of the robotic milker. And we do have a question from Robin who's watching. What kind of cows do you guys have?
Well, basically our main breed is a Holstein cow, which is pretty common for milk production. But we do have, you'll see some other colors mixed in our cows here. There's some reds and some ones with white faces. So there are a few crossbreds in here, and that basically gives us a better quality of milk with more butter fat and more protein in our milk. which is better for cheese production, which our milk goes to a cheese plant.
So what are we seeing here, Rick?
Okay, so you can see this cow here just entered one of the milking robotic stations, and there is a brush that goes around to each teat, and it cleans and sanitizes each teat 2 times so that it's as clean as it can get it. And now you can see the cleaning brush swings out of the way, and now there's a laser. I don't know if you can see, there's a red laser. I'll try to get a better view here, and that is finding the location of each teat, and then it'll attach each milking cup to that teat. And if it misses because the cow is moving around, then it'll just try again. It's very precise, and it's all based on basically the computer that runs this robotic arm. So now the cow is being milked, and you can see the milk is actually starting to flow.
Oh, Rick, I think we lost a little bit of your audio there.
Oh, so the milk flows through the teat cups from her, through these tubes and into this glass jar. And this glass jar actually weighs each cow's milk each time she gives milk and lets us know how much she's producing. And if there's a change in what she normally produces, it lets us know so we can keep an eye on her health. This robot also weighs her. It monitors how many times she comes into the robot, and it also only lets her get milked every so many hours so that she doesn't get over milked. And it lets us know if she doesn't come often enough that we can go find her and make sure that she's feeling okay and get her milked. This screen is going to show us all about her. So this cow, let's see, she's going to get about 3 pounds of pellet. It usually takes her about 7 minutes to get milked. Her number is 431. We can look up tons and tons and tons of information about her. A normal cow temperature is 101.5, and it says that she's just right on track, so she must be feeling really good. Anybody have any questions?
So your milk, it goes then from here into a bulk tank, correct? And then where does it go from there?
Well, every 3 days, a truck comes and empties our bulk tank and delivers it to our local cheese plant here in the same county where we live. And so all of our milk is made into cheese, which you'd probably enjoy on your pizza or your sandwiches.
Yeah, in your school lunch.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so okay, let's start traveling over to the feed kitchen. And can you share a bit about that connection of dairy that it has to schools, since we have a lot of students watching today?
Yeah, so we might get a sneak peek of should we check out the manure cleaning robot here? It's coming right towards us.
Yeah, let's check that out. Let's see the poop robot.
Yep. So this robot, as I said, it vacuums up the poop, and it tries to keep our floors really clean because cows love a clean barn. So and they are not scared by this thing. It'll bump into their legs sometimes, and they just know to move around. And these things, they travel around the barn all day and all night. So the cows are really used to them. So it actually has a squeegee, and it is bringing in all of the manure and sucking it into a tank. And then when it's done making its route, it will go and actually empty its own tank in a holding pit that is under the barn. And we actually use this manure to fertilize our fields and to grow the same crops that we use to feed our cattle.
It's amazing the technology you guys have on your farm. So as we're heading to the feed kitchen, we have Miss Camp's class in Wyoming wants to know if your cows go out on pasture and how many acres is your farm?
Well, our farm, we use about 350 acres of land to grow the crops that we need to feed our livestock here. And our cattle, we have some of our young stock is on pasture. But once they reach adult age, they come into this facility where we can control their climate. So in central Minnesota, the winters are very cold and the summers are very hot and a lot of flies that really bother the cows. And so in a building like this, we have many fans along our one wall here. We only have a few of them running now because it is winter time. But in the summer, all these fans are sucking fresh air through this facility. And so the flies don't bug the cows. It's very nice and cool in here. And on our basically our one wall of our entire barn, we have a curtain system that is open almost all year, except for when it's really cold in the winter. We'll close this up so it doesn't get too cold in here for the cows. But basically this wall is completely open. The cows get some fresh air, some sunshine, and they are much more comfortable in here where they have a controlled environment without the flies and the heat and the cold winters. So they would actually rather be in here than outside on most days. But our young stock are outside almost all of the time with access to shelter when the weather is bad. So you can see the vector here is just finishing its load. It travels all around the barn and it's just emptying the last little bit of feed in there, which I think has already come out. And now it's going to travel back, and then we can actually see it get loaded by basically the whole robotic system that fills up that wagon. Are there any other questions that we can answer while we're waiting?
There are, yeah. So Amy, she asked how much milk is produced per day on your, well, I guess she didn't ask if how many like per cow, but I guess what's the average that a cow produces, and then what do you guys produce on your farm?
Yeah, so on our farm, I would say we're average.
Oh, Rick, I'm having a hard time hearing you there.
Can you hear me right now?
Yep.
Okay, so on our farm, I would say we're pretty average for production. I mean, each cow is an individual, but on average, each cow produces about 10 gallons of milk a day. And so I think that's even like, if my math is right, 160 milk cartons that you guys would have at school, 160 milk cartons a day from each cow. So that is a lot of milk. Look at these curious cows. They are just wondering what is going on here.
And then Ruth is asking about the lifespan of the cow.
Well, cows can live pretty long. I think Sarah mentioned our oldest cow is around 10 years old, and that is pretty much, that's pretty old for a cow. Most cows don't quite live that long. Usually after their career as a dairy animal, they will retire into the beef industry. But we try to, in this facility, actually, we are hoping to keep our cows here longer than on another type of farm, just because
because we have great cow comfort here.
The stress on an animal. So they just have a very calm, easygoing life in here.
So Miss Shanda at Edison High School, not sure if you guys would know the answer to this one, but how many dairy farms of your size are there in Minnesota?
Ooh, I do not know the answer off the top of my head. There are still quite a few family farms that are our size in Minnesota still. Fewer and fewer each year, I believe, but the ones that are around, a lot of them are switching over to more robotics just to help with any labor problems. And so the family can farm easier without having to manage so much on their own. So
so Rick, we've got about 10 minutes left. Let's make sure we cover this this feed kitchen, because I think this is just the coolest thing.
Okay, so basically how this works is this room that's attached to the barn, we call the feed kitchen. And basically we store many of the different ingredients that get fed to the cows. And what we want to do here is, you can see there's several different types of feed in here. There's some shredded grass hay, there's some corn silage over by the wall there. And then there is on the other side some haylage, which is basically alfalfa that has been preserved by the fermentation process. So it is harvested when it is still has moisture in it. And the cows just love it. So all the different ingredients are stored in here. And you can see there's a big block over here. We have a special machine that actually will cut a large cube out of a, well, we have several large piles of different types of feed. And the machine will cut a big cube out of it. And then we drop it in this feed kitchen. And then there is a grabber, that's what it's called. It's just basically this machine with the big jaws on it, and that goes around and it'll grab corn silage or haylage or dry hay, the different ingredients on the floor, and then it'll drop it inside this mixing wagon, and all the ingredients are mixed together and then delivered to the cows. So there's different ingredients fed to the different pens in our barn. And it is, I'm just trying to, we're not feeding right now. It must have.
Yeah, we're showing.
Oh, you got the video.
lapse.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So basically it's not mixing right now live because it just finished its feeding route right now. And it must have determined that there is enough feed out at the cows where it doesn't need to mix until the next hour. And then it'll scan again and mix another batch. So that's the great thing about this feeding system, is it only uses or only mixes what the cows need.
All of our ingredients are formulated by a nutritionist that comes out and looks at our cows and makes sure that they're getting the calories they need and getting the vitamins that they need. And they mix actually special vitamins formulated for each group of cows, like if they're going to have a baby really soon, or if they're not going to have a baby soon, or if they're milking, just to make sure that we get enough vitamins and minerals and energy and everything that the cow needs delivered to them. So it basically mixes up in like a big salad, and then the cows just love it. Do we have any more questions?
Yeah, Sarah, we know that sustainability, that's a big part of dairy farming. Can you tell me what types of things you're doing on your farm to really take care of the land and like natural resources like water?
Yes. So our farm, when we designed this new building, to cool our milk down right away, we pull water out of our well, and the milk passes through kind of like a radiator that makes it nice and cold. And then we take that water that was used to cool the milk off right away so that the milk doesn't have to use as much energy to cool it. And we put that water in a big tank, and then that tank fills up the cows' waterers, because the cows actually like to drink warm water. And so then this cow right here is getting a drink. You can see her. They love to just suck down lots of water. And when they're making lots of milk, they need lots of water, just like us.
Yeah, another thing with sustainability, I mentioned with the manure that the cows produce, the poop, that is a very valuable resource to farmers as fertilizer. So we make sure that we capture as much of that as possible. And then at certain times of the year, we will apply that to our fields. And we take soil samples so we know what the soil needs, what nutrients it needs, or if it doesn't need the nutrients, then we won't apply as much manure to that soil. So we keep very accurate records of how much we need to apply where, and because we don't want to waste this valuable resource, and we want to keep our environment clean just like everybody else, because we need our environment to take care of our family and our livestock.
And to grow the best pops possible.
All right, so I'm getting quite a few questions here. So let's just do a rapid fire here. You guys can give me just quick answers, and just so that people can get some of their questions answered. So Holly asks, how many times does the feeding robot go around each day?
Well, it typically goes around once per hour. So I would say up to 24 times a day, potentially. Maybe not quite that much because it does take time when we're filling the kitchen. It is kind of on pause. So I would say probably 20 to 24 times a day that goes around the barn.
All right. And then Lisa, who's on YouTube watching, how many robots total do you have on the farm?
We have 3 milking robots, 3 poop cleaning robots, and 1 of the feeding robots.
And have any of them broken down?
Yes, daily. It's a lot of maintenance. I guess we've not had any like catastrophic breakdowns, but you know, we need to take care of our technology too. There's little parts that can break. Sometimes the poop robots, they get lost and we have to go get them with the tablet and drive them back to where they can get found again. And then they have to get, they charge a battery, just like a cell phone.
It just sounds like my Roomba.
Exactly. It's exactly like that. Yeah.
All right. Aiden has a question. How many pounds of feed does a cow eat daily?
Oh, that depends. Usually, I think it's about somewhere around 50 pounds of dry matter, and that is the dry weight of the feed. Is probably so yeah. If you think of like a 50-pound sack of dog food or something, that's about the weight. And obviously, hay doesn't weigh quite as much as that, so the volume might be larger, but about 50 pounds.
They also get up to 14 pounds of the tasty pellet in the robot a day too.
All right. So I'm looking here for more questions, making sure I got all of them answered. Did we talk about dairy's connection to schools? Did we touch on that in terms of like timeline of how long it takes milk to get from the farm to their school?
Yeah, well, all of our milk, as I said, goes to cheese, so that's a little different. But I believe for fluid milk, it is only like a couple days from the time that a cow is
2 days.
Yeah, making that milk to the time it's at the store or at your school.
Yep, 2 days.
All right, a couple more questions coming in. How old is a cow before they start milking?
Okay, well, they're about 2 years old when they are able to make milk. So basically when they have their first calf, then they produce milk, and that is about at 2 years of age.
Oh, and that's a good segue into, I forgot to ask about the calves. Where are your baby calves, Sarah?
Yes, our baby calves live in a barn just on the other side of this barn. And I think we have a video of them. We give them milk twice a day. They have grain, they have water, they have fresh bedding. They live on a straw pack, and we keep them kind of separated into little pens with a little bit of panel in between each other so that they can get good airflow. And then we make sure that they don't get sick by touching each other too much, but cows are very social animals and they love to be next to each other. So we want to make sure that they can be next to each other too.
So, okay, we've got just a couple minutes left. We're getting some questions about bulls on the farm, and then how many cows are on your farm?
Okay, was that bulls? Did you say bulls?
Yep, bulls.
Okay, so on our farm, we only have one bull that we use to breed our heifers. The rest of the cows are all bred artificially, and I do all of that. The collars will actually tell me when the cow is ready to be bred, and then I artificially inseminate them. So we only have one bull on our farm. The baby bulls are sold usually, well, at about a couple days old or so to another farm that raises them. And the amount of cows, let me think here. I don't know off the top of my head, but I think 350, close to that, with all the young stock.
And what's that brush there?
Oh, that brush. Okay, so that brush, there's 4 of them in this barn. And that is a brush just merely to keep the cows comfortable. You know, when you have that scratch on your back or that itch and you just can't get it scratched, well, cows have the same thing. They really love to get scratched and to clean their backs off and rub their heads on these brushes. So actually, we'll just see if a cow touches this one here in a minute. But when they touch the brush, oh, we got a video there. The brush will actually start moving. So it'll just turn and turn until that cow is done with her scratch and she moves on.
That's amazing. I love that you're keeping your cows comfortable. So we are out of time, but I'm going to quick ask one last question as we wrap up. So what is your favorite season on the farm, and what's your favorite part of dairy farming?
I would say my favorite season is fall, just with the cooler temperatures and the harvest and just kind of wrapping up all of the extra field work for the year. It's more comfortable for the livestock. So I would say fall is my favorite time of year.
I like fall too. It's beautiful. Yeah. And then what was the second question?
What's your favorite part of dairy farming?
Oh, my favorite part of dairy farming is the cows for sure. It's like having a bunch of puppies that you can pet and love and take care of, and yeah.
Yeah, my favorite part about dairy farming, it seems like there's always something different to do every day. I never get really bored of doing the same thing because whether it's taking care of animals or working in the fields or fixing machinery or robots or technology, it's just, there is so many aspects to farming, and there's really never a dull moment. So I just like all the change and the new things to learn.
So amazing. Well, Sarah and Rick, thank you so much for sharing your farm story with us today. We loved meeting your cows and seeing the technology and work that goes into producing safe, nutritious milk for us to enjoy at home and in schools. And I think I'm just going to pass things back off to Sue. She's going to share some info about some upcoming farm tours. But thank you, you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
All right, Sue, are you still with us?
I am. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for hosting us at the Ahlgren Dairy Farm. Rick and Sarah, you guys were awesome, and those cows are like TV stars. We loved seeing them and all of the technology that you use. And thank you to all of you watching. We hope that you have learned something new, and we appreciate all the fantastic questions that you have been answering or asking and that we've been trying to answer. We have gotten really positive feedback about these virtual field trips that we did during the month of October. So our plan moving forward is to host one a month. So stay tuned. In November, we're going to visit a Minnesota turkey farm and receive a virtual field trip to see how things that you get to eat at your Thanksgiving Day dinner table are grown and raised. And our plan for December is to visit a Christmas tree farm here in Minnesota. So we will share dates and times once we determine those, but we hope that you will join us for those upcoming virtual field trips. And we thank you once again for joining us in October. And our Minnesota Agriculture in the Classroom was happy and excited to partner with Midwest Dairy to highlight the farmers and the food service and food nutrition heroes in the state of Minnesota. So thank you, everyone. Have a great day, and we hope to see you in the future.